Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'd like to welcome all devotees. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I'd like to seek your kind wishes and your blessings so that we can share something to please the Supreme Lord and His devotees, and at the same time advance in our Krishna consciousness. So today, actually, I wanted to ask one of our devotees, young devotees, to summarize the last 9 chapters, and her name is Sanjana. So are you okay to do that, Sanjana?
Hare Krishna. Yep, I'm going to try. I'm very nervous, but...
Don't be nervous. You'll never be wrong.
Wait, I'm just going to go to the WhatsApp to have the summary.
Oh, actually, once you do that...
Yep.
In fact, I can bring it up anyway. Let's just read this. We've gone through a few things about Bhagavad Gita, glorification by Lord Shiva, Gita Mahatmya, and then we looked at the Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami, his glorification of Bhagavad Gita. And then now I just wanted to see some of the scholars, modern day scholars, what they've been writing about Bhagavad Gita. So this is Dr. Edith McGregor. From the University of Southern California.
No work in all Indian literature is more quoted because none is better loved in the West than Bhagavad Gita. Translation of such a work demands not only knowledge of Sanskrit, but an inward sympathy with the theme and the verbal artistry. For the poem is a symphony in which God is seen in all things. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is, of course, profoundly sympathetic to the theme. He brings to it, moreover, a special interpretive insight, a powerful and persuasive presentation in the Bhakti tradition, devotional. The Swami does a real service for students by investing the beloved Indian epic with fresh meaning. Whatever our outlook may be, we should all be grateful for the labor that has led to this illuminating work.
Very good point. He wrote the Bhaktivedanta purports, and often Madhusudan Prabhu refers to them. These purports are very powerful. He, what did he say? Toiled day and night, spilled a lot of blood and sweat over these purports. And whilst we're reading the verses now, the purports are equally, and if not more important, because they explain those verses very nicely. So at some point, devotees should endeavor to read, and we will also, once we're doing future presentations. Okay, Sanjana, I'll bring it up if you need to have it here. I can just bring it here.
Okay, so firstly in chapter 1, we mainly have Arjun, who is seeing the armies on Kurukshetra, and he's sort of feeling quite real. As I actually have to fight my relatives and it's not feeling very right. So he gives all his arguments to Krishna that I don't know whether I can do this to fight my brothers, whether it's the right thing to do to face the people that I grew up with. And then he surrenders to Krishna at the end, saying, please guide me and tell me what to do. So in chapter 2, Krishna sort of sums up the contents of the Gita. So he gives everything to Arjun that he needs to know in order to fight this war. So that includes elevating him to the spiritual platform and telling him, you're not this body, but you're a soul who is eternal. And you have 2 duties that you need to do. So one is your temporary material duty, which I think is called Swadharma.
Excellent.
And your
Excellent.
other one is your eternal duty, which is Sanatana Dharma. And this is a difficult balance to strike. But as his duty as a Kshatriya, he should be thinking not only of his personal gains and losses, but what he must do to defend his kingdom. So if he thinks of that, then he will know that loss and gain are the same thing. And then he should sort of renounce the results and not think of the results and just try and balance his duty and think of Krishna. I feel like there is one more point in chapter 2.
There is, where he's describing the devotee, the perfect soul.
Oh yeah. Arjun asks how he walks, sits, talks,
Yeah.
and walks, and Krishna illustrates that. So in chapter 3, then Krishna explains how he introduces karma yoga. So it's how to sort of act in renunciation while you're acting. You just don't think of the fruits, and how to avoid the sinful acts which stem from lust, which eventually go into anger. But how you can redirect that lust and anger in service of Krishna, which is sort of elaborated on in chapter 5. In chapter 4, then Krishna explains transcendental knowledge, what it is and how he gave it first to the sun god, and now how it usually gets passed down from guru to disciple, but it's been lost. So his purpose to come here on earth is to re-establish that knowledge, which is why he's giving it to Arjun, and Arjun is inquiring on our behalf. And then he gives the different types of actions. So we have the lowest action, which is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, which is like animals. Then if you act in karma kanda, you sort of have an awareness that you have a greater religious duty and you start practicing with certain religious sacrifices. But and then there is karma yoga, which is split into 2 parts. And the first part is when you still keep a portion to yourself, but you're offering some of the fruits to the Lord. And I think nishkarma karma yoga is when you start giving all of your things up to the Lord. And then there's like full bhakti yoga. And then with chapter 5, Krishna further explains karma yoga, because I think Arjun asks what's more important, renunciation or action, and he says they're not mutually exclusive. You can do both if you offer up the entire fruits in service of me and thinking only of me. And then also that you will see everyone with equal vision if you identify everyone as part and parcel of the Lord. So there's that like verse in 5:18 where there will be no sexism, no racism, no classism or anything, because everybody is a part of the Lord. So in chapter 6, then Krishna outlines the really difficult tenets of Ashtanga yoga. And Arjun said that sounds so difficult, to control the mind is like controlling the wind. How can any of us do this? So then Krishna said, yes, this is really difficult, but if there's an easier way, especially in this Kali Yuga, it makes it easier to do Bhakti Yoga. And what happens to the unsuccessful yogi, which is that any spiritual accumulation is still kept with them as a soul. And so they will be born to either a pious family or an aristocratic family where they will be further attracted to that in their next life. So Krishna shows mercy and continue to help him on his spiritual journey, even if it takes many births. And then chapter 7, we learn about where Krishna can be perceived. So he has his material energy and his spiritual energy. And he can be seen in like a glass of water, in the sun, in the flowers. So a really good way to start remembering Krishna is to, for example, when we're drinking water, to remember that he's there. But that also we should acknowledge that he has a spiritual presence, and our final goal should be to realize and attain that spiritual energy rather than to continue to be entangled in his material energy. And that we can worship, well, if you worship the devatas, it's kind of like you're worshipping him indirectly, because he's kind of like the head of state, and then the devatas are like the sort of cabinet ministers who are administering things on his behalf. So it's better to just worship Krishna primarily, because while we should respect the devatas, they are just carrying out his service. Then in chapter 8, Arjun asks 8 questions. Out of 7 of them, he answers quite concisely, and the 8th one is to do with what happens to you at death. And Krishna explains that at death, you attain whatever you're thinking of. So if you really like sleeping, you'll be attaining something in a birth where you can do that a lot. But if you think of Krishna, you attain Krishna's supreme abode. But however, it's best to practice it throughout your life, because when you die, you're most likely to enact what you do throughout your life out of habit.
Good.
And then he describes how, I think, intricately at the time of death, he describes intricately how it is if you do the Ashtanga Yoga, how you have to die at a specific time to attain supreme abode, and it's all very dependent on the technicalities of the material world. However, if you're engaged in Krishna consciousness entirely and Bhakti Yoga, then you don't have to worry about all that, because you would certainly attain the Supreme Lord. And then finally in chapter 9, which is the most confidential knowledge, we learn a little bit more about Krishna's nature himself, how his supreme nature and how he's inconceivable. Like, for example, how I think we abide in him, but he abides in us, but we do not abide in him. But it's very complicated. He is everywhere, and then he is also one. So it's very hard for us to understand as just humans. But we can still understand that he can be found everywhere in this world, and that he is very merciful. So, for example, with Putana and other people who may have insulted him, even if they're thinking of him, he will only see the good, and so he's like a first-class type of person. Yeah,
Brilliant.
that's my summary.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, you've really covered everything very concisely and completely as well. So I'd like to congratulate you. Anybody like to comment on Sanjana?
I agree that very nicely done, very precise.
Amazing.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, well done. You've understood the philosophy as well.
She did it with confidence, and I commend. Very nice.
Yeah.
Love to see her face though.
Oh, I'll put my video on at some point. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, because my understanding has been enriched by all your questions and comments as well. So, and it's been nice to meet you all.
Yeah, no, thank you. And just to remind us how old you are?
19.
Oh my goodness, extraordinary. Thank you very much. I'm so pleased. You won't believe the smile on my face. Thank you. So let's have a look at chapter 10 now. More about the opulences of the Lord. So he talks about how many people they complain they can't see God, that he's doing his wonderful creation and maintenance and annihilation, but because he's not manifested in front of them, they are skeptical that does he actually exist, because nowadays scientists can explain every phenomena, but just because they can explain it doesn't actually indicate where that phenomenon has been sourced from or how it works. Like the hair on our head, how that actually grows, it's quite inconceivable, it's quite extraordinary. Now, he talks about, there's quite a few themes in this, 4 themes again, and he gives Arjuna a little bit more information about his own nature. And he explains to Arjuna that I'm telling you because you're my friend. And then actually, there's 4 texts in this chapter, which are very important. They describe the philosophy in a nutshell. And it's considered the Chatur Slok. And it's the essence of the Gita. And again, it's bang in the middle of the 18 chapters, between 9 and 10. Are wonderful, wonderful chapters. Where every verse is so important. And he describes how devotees interact with him and how he reveals himself, destroying their ignorance. Krishna then, Arjuna accepts Krishna as a supreme. So this is the first time he's actually acknowledged the supremacy of Krishna. And that's quite interesting. And then Krishna explains to him where he can be seen further in this world. 82 different vibhutis, potencies that he shows us, which is very, very interesting. So let's read the verses and his works. Amita Krishna, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu, that's fine.
Right.
Chapter 10, Opulence of the Absolute. Text 1. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." Text 2. Neither the hosts or demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. Text 3. He who knows me as unborn, as the beginless, as the supreme Lord of all words, he only undiluted among men is freed from all sins. Text 4 to 5. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 great sages, and the Manus, the progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all living beings populating the various planets descend from them. Text 7. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages his unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt.
Thank you very much, Amita Krishna. So, again, Krishna reveals to Arjuna that nobody knows him. Even the great sages don't know him. How he is unborn, beginningless, how he is the source of all of the qualities in us. Even the sages come from his mind. He reveals all of this to Arjuna. And the reason he's doing that is because Arjuna has a personal relationship with him as friend. So the lesson from this is we also can develop a personal relationship with the Supreme Lord. We already have a personal relationship with the Supreme Lord. At the moment, it's covered because we are identifying ourselves with this body. But when we finally realize our spiritual status, then we will re-establish that relationship that we had with Krishna before coming to this world. So we've already got a relationship with the Lord. We've just forgotten it. And once this material covering has gone and we fully realized ourselves and realize the Supreme Lord and our service to Him, then we will again re-establish our original position with the Supreme Lord. Now, there are 5 types of relationships one can have with the Lord. They call 5 different rasas. One is Shanta ras, which is, Shanta means neutral. And I'll give you some examples in a minute. Then there's Dasya ras, as his servant. And that would primarily be in Vaikuntha, where one would serve Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi Devi as their servant. And there's Sakyaras. All of these are graded, one after the other, and each one is considered higher than the previous one. But of course, whoever is in these different rasas, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, or Shantaras, they will consider that that ras is the best because that is their constitutional, that's where they're happy. That's where they are in complete and utter bliss in serving the Lord. So whilst we're saying one is higher than the other, for the practitioner, for the spirit soul, makes no difference because he's completely satisfied in his service. Like Hanuman is completely satisfied in Dasya Ras of Ram. Even when he met Krishna, he kindly said to Krishna, "It's so nice to meet you. And I know you're none other than Ramachandra. But for me, Ramachandra is my Isht Dev. I can never give him up." So that's a wonderful relationship between the devotee and the Lord. Sakyaras, beyond Sakyaras is Vatsalyaras, having parental affection for the Lord. And the final, the highest, the topmost, is Madhuryaras, where one is in loving relationship, conjugal relationship with the Supreme Lord. So this is an example of some examples here of all the different categories. So in the passive state, there may be trees, flute. Flute is regarded to be passive. I'm not so convinced about that, but let's accept that as it is. Grass,
Milk.
milk, milk. Although the milk tried to commit suicide, so I'm not sure about the passive state. In this passive state, the devotee is just relishing the Lord and his pastimes. He's enjoying. The trees are just in Golok Vrindavan. When they see Krishna coming, they are just completely mesmerized. That's their constitutional position. So that's the original, the first stage. And then Dasyaras, we talked about Hanuman, perfect servant, and completely happy in that mood. And also the various servants of Lord Vishnu in Golok Vrindavan, in the topmost spiritual planet where Krishna, Radharani reside. Dasyaras is there, but it's to assist the ultimate rasa, which is Madhurya Ras. So it's a different type of Dasya Ras. Yeah. Then we got Sakya Ras, and that is including Arjun. Of course, Arjun's friendship was, there's different grades of Sakya Ras as well. Arjun's friendship with Krishna, he would sit on the same bed with him, perhaps eat at the same time, perhaps even eat from the same plate sometimes. So there was a close relationship. But the relationship Krishna has with his friends, Sakya friends in Golok Vrindavan, is at a much, much higher level. There, the friendship knows no bounds. They regard Krishna as their best friend, and there's no limitations between them as in terms of friendship. For example, Madhumangal or Krishna would jump on the back of Madhumangal and make him ride him, perhaps whip him with a stick, with his flute, and vice versa as well. The Gopas can do the same with Krishna, and it's quite fascinating, quite bewildering. Especially Lord Brahma one time was very bewildered by what was going on between the friends, how wonderfully they were enjoying with each other in terms of their sharing prasad and things like that. So Arjuna is perfect in terms of his Sakyaras with Krishna, but there are higher levels of Sakyaras in Golok Vrindavan. And parental Vatsalyaras, if one has that mood of becoming a parent of the Lord, caring for him, then that is epitomized by Yashoda Mai and Nanda Maharaj. They are regarded to be not ordinary souls. They are actually very, very close to the Supreme Personality of God. Nobody can become Yashoda Mai. No soul, no ordinary soul can become Yashoda Mai. She's just in a category of her own. Putana, like we were discussing yesterday, she actually achieved this status as a in a parental rasa with Krishna, even though she had ill motives towards Krishna. And then finally, if we so desire, and many of the acharyas in our sampradaya have this mood of Madhurya Ras, where they perhaps have eternal forms as Manjaris, who are assistants to the gopis, who help in Radha and Krishna's conjugal pastimes in the middle of the night, and they have access to the most intimate relationship, service with Krishna and Radha. It's the most, it's the highest rasa. But as I said before, whoever is perfected in the other rasas, they will consider their rasa as the best, which it is. For them, it is the best. And every one of us has a particular relationship with Krishna. It's our original Sarup. And unfortunately, at the present time, as I said, we've forgotten that relationship, and we can revive that relationship through this process of bhakti, by chanting the holy names of the Lord with feeling and affection for the Lord. That's the easiest, best way to re-establish our connection with the Lord. By reading the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, by associating with the devotees, by honoring prasad, by worshipping, doing puja, arti. So many different ways we can become close again with the Supreme, re-establish that relationship. So the lesson is, we have a relationship with the Lord. We've forgotten it. We won't be able to artificially make it up. It will reveal itself as we become more and more God conscious. So that's really what we wanted to share.
And the only thing is, all these 5 rasas, you can't find them that in Vaikuntha planets. It's only in Golok, Vrindavan, or somewhere like Ayodhya.
That's the answer.
Yeah, not all 5.
Oh, yeah.
Not all the 5.
That's right. Not to the extent that it is in Golok Vrindavan. That's right. So, Madhusudan Babu, Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Can you hear me all right?
absolutely.
I'm on the phone actually, so headphones. You can hear me all right, yeah?
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. We've come to this stage of understanding in Bhagavad Gita now that we can start to have personal relationships. And most of the time we are in this neutral state, you know. Most of the people, whether they have an atheistic view or what, you know, but they're just neutral, you know. Some want to believe in God and that, but they just don't have the knowledge and so they just remain in that neutral state of an atheistic view or a neutral view. Scientists will appreciate the nature, but I think in this present situation, more and more people are not having much trust or in the so-called expertise of scientists, you know. So it is all a doubt now, you know, because they're giving mixing messages. They can't even understand this virus. So forget about trying to understand Krishna's energies and all that. So we start this relationship by being a bit atheistic. Then we start to think, oh, there must be some sort of higher power and all that. So we get into the Santiaras and neutral, and then we want to, obviously, like building any kind of relationship, you know, we have best friends and all that, so we want to start serving them. And yesterday we covered how we can slowly start to serve. But really, in short, it is the spiritual master, a guru, who actually reveals your true identity. Once we enter the spiritual world, the spiritual master is also waiting, and they are really representing Krishna here. They're doing a wonderful service, you know, for Krishna. And that's why Krishna appreciates personalities like Prabhupada or great acharyas. They will step out of the way. They don't want to go into the spiritual world and be in close relationship with Shiva, just with Krishna. They just want to serve him, or rather help other souls claim back their relationship. And that's what they're waiting for. So, you know, we appreciate. It's not easy to just falsely, oh, you know, Krishna is my friend or anything, or I can be his parent or anything. But these personalities like Yashoda Maya, they did a lot of tapasya. They had a lot of deep desire. And it's very, very rare souls that would desire that sort of, and then be willing to go through lots of tapasyas, birth after birth, to try to gain their position of being a parent of Krishna. Yeah, so we make a start at some point, but by the mercy of gurus and sadhu and shastra and all that, we can re-establish that relationship. And then relish, you know, it's only in relationship that we actually start to enjoy, you know, not just enjoy in material sense, but relish the rasa. That's why it's called rasa, isn't it? You know, so you get a good rasa in a mango juice. But that's different. This is different. Anyway, yeah, thank you. Hope that.
Thank you very much. That's good points. Spiritual master is very, very important. Very nice point. Any questions on this point?
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Preeti.
So I have two questions. Do we approach Krishna with a rasa of a choice, like how we see him right now, or is there a specific one we should follow right now?
If I understand your question, do we approach him with a mood that we have now in terms of the relationship with Krishna? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, like if we see Krishna a certain way, do we
Right.
serve him that way? I mean, not that we know how like it is really meant to be served, but still approach with that mood, or what we just serve prasad, like, but with that kind of mood, like how we see him, you know?
Not really. As Prabhu nicely explained, it's actually revealed to us.
Sorry? Okay.
It's actually revealed to us in due course of time through our spiritual practice. So it's not that we can artificially manufacture that, oh, I want to treat Krishna as my best friend, for example. What the mindset we would need is we would follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. And that means basically the chanting, the reading, the following the 4 rules and regulations, taking a spiritual master, following his orders. And as our bhakti and purity grows, our relationship with the Lord will also manifest. And generally, it will be the spiritual master's mercy that will make that happen. So if we have a certain mood right now towards the Supreme Lord, it may be just our mind, playing its tricks that this is how you should serve the Lord, but it may not be our actual position where we are actually serving the Lord to please Him. It's more that we're serving the Lord to please our own imagination. So it doesn't mean that we stop. It should not inhibit us or limit us how we serve the Lord. We should serve the Lord to the best of our capacity. So you shouldn't feel that, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that because it might interfere with the rasas. No, you serve to the very best of your ability. Whatever ability you have, you use that to serve the Lord. But what your rasa is, that will manifest as the mercy of the Lord and His Spirit and the spiritual master. Does that answer your question? Does that answer the question?
Yeah. It's like we don't know what our actual relationship is, because they said it's only one of those 5. But again, it was just I think you answered it, because it was just like, what if we see Krishna as like a child or as a parent? Because we hear that a lot. He's our father, she's our mother. See Krishna as our friend. So there's just so many ways we're told, we can see Krishna, but then we just serve him as like an all-in-one, associate kind of thing.
Yeah, I think, whatever your natural inclination is, don't ignore that. Never ignore that. If one has a parental, affection for the Lord and wants to cook for Him, and as a deity wants to put him to sleep, don't limit you. Don't limit yourself. Do that. Absolutely do that. Under the guidance of the devotees and the Guru, that is completely acceptable.
And that way you'll build a relationship with your own deity as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Radha Krishna's this conjugal relationship is more spiritual rather than what we see in the material world.
Oh, yes. It's nothing to do with the material conceptions that we hold about boyfriend, girlfriend. Absolutely right. It's completely and utterly spiritual. It's completely utterly pure. It's completely utterly nectar, ananda, and Krishna relishes, Radha relishes. And it's nothing to do with lust. It's pure, completely spiritual. Thank you for that point.
Yes, I've always been confused about that, and so I thought I would better clear it today. And as other lady was saying, we also think we have got a little Balakrishna at home. We were thinking that yes, I'm feeding you this and that, but then with time we have come to know that it is just a mood, but that is not what it is. It's more likely your guru or will able to bring out the ras in yourself, which will take a lot of time, long time.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. But if you have a natural affection for the Lord, I would say never cover suppress it. That's right.
You carry on doing that.
Yes.
Along the way, your that relationship will be built with your deity, and also then your real rasa will manifest as well.
Okay.
Priti, you had a second question?
I do. Okay, when Krishna comes via Vishnu, does he come to Vrindavan on earth to carry leelas with devotees who have made it to the earth Vrindavan? Or does this only happen when Krishna bypasses Vishnu and comes directly from Golok? And like, is he there with his eternal associates? Or is he there with devotees who again managed to get to the Vrindavan Leela on earth?
Nice question. When he comes himself, as far as I understand, he brings his associates with him. All of his associates come from
That's when he comes in person, not as Vishnu.
Yeah. And he also asks the devatas to take birth as his associates. So there's a mixture, I would say. Definitely his associates come down with him. Shubhal, Sudama, all of the associates in the spiritual world, they would accompany him. Definitely. Gopis, Manjaris, they would all accompany him. But he would also request devatas. You take birth in the Yadu dynasty. He would advise them like that. In fact, Vishnu would advise them. And that's what they would do. And in that way, they have a relationship. Those persons who have perfected their souls, they perfected their spiritual mood. So before going to the spiritual world, they would go to a planet where Krishna is present to perform Leela with them.
To be trained.
So that's there as well. It will be a full combination of everything, because Krishna won't leave anybody alone. If a little bit of interest is shown in him, he'll magnify it. So if a devotee, if a person's soul has come to the stage of spiritual perfection, then he will be given an opportunity to associate with Krishna on earth so that he's trained for the spiritual world.
It could be in any of the universes.
Yeah.
Where his Leela is taking place.
Okay, and so again, those devotees who are getting that opportunity.
Yeah.
It won't happen when Krishna comes directly?
No, it will.
Mm-hmm.
It will.
Oh, it could.
It could be.
So it is just a mix then?
Yes, it's a mix. But the closest associates will always be his most confidential.
Okay, so then when he does come via Vishnu, even then his closer associates would come as well?
Yeah. His close associates will always, like his mother and father, Yashoda, and they will be there. They're still in the spiritual world, but they'll also expand themselves into wherever he is. He can't
like I would think that if he came via Vishnu, then it would be Lakshmi who incarnates, like Radha is like the incarnation of Lakshmi if he came via Vishnu, and wouldn't be Radha from eternal, like Golok Vrindavan.
Yeah, it'll be the corresponding consort, whoever that consort is.
Okay.
It'll be that consort. And the associates in relation to those consorts.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's complex area of Siddhanta.
But it is also
Yes.
the whole Krishna's entourage, you know.
Exactly.
When a great personality is coming, then they obviously send make all the preparations, arrangements, different personalities be in charge of different things, and then they'll create all the preparation. Then Krishna will come, whatever his mission is, you know, it's Krishna's. Ultimately, he knows the reasons why he's come, or what is his purpose. And we are, you know, we are like entities living, and we may know and we may not know. You know, some very close people around Krishna at that time couldn't understand Krishna, you know, that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah.
You know, even like Donald Trump goes to India, Modi went to America, and they had a whole entourage, security guards and this and that and everything, you know. All preparations are made, you know. So Krishna is even a greater personality, yeah.
That's
and
right.
his confidential servants are always there, willing to serve him. And as far as our relationship goes, you know, we start by just trying to understand a relationship. And the best way to learn how we can start to serve Krishna is somebody who's already serving. And the only person who knows how best to serve Krishna is obviously Radharani. She knows Krishna's mood, and then all the other gopis understand Radharani. So they assist Radharani, and then gopis and other sages try to understand that bhav. But for us to start to understand is you start to, that's why even Lord Chaitanya say in some of the devotees, I think some of the personalities, Goswamis, that they would say, you know, one of the prayers, it's a gopi pada kamalayam, dasa, no dasa, no dasa. I just want to be the das of a gopi, so I can start to understand how they serve Krishna. So we can start to learn how to serve Krishna.
Yeah. Makes sense? Makes sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Hopefully.
Yeah. Keep it simple, and just don't manufacture a relationship when there isn't really one there. Keep it simple. Serve the devotees. Serve the spiritual master. Chant Hare Krishna. Eat prasad. Take prasad. Read the holy books, and it'll manifest.
Slowly it'll manifest. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. So, actually, Madhusudan Babu, you want to read these four texts?
Yeah. Text 8. So, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Wait a minute. Your picture comes on top of this word. So, everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know me, they engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. They live in me and devoted in my service. Text 9. I have to go to this. Yeah, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. To show them their special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance.
Brilliant. So these are the four key verses of Bhagavad Gita. This summarizes Bhagavad Gita. This summarizes Krishna consciousness. It got everything that we possibly need in these four verses. Key verses. So chapter 10 text 8, 9, 10, and 11. Very, very important verses to remember if we can. And the summary is that this contains the essence of the Gita. It describes spirituality in the main three categories, which are sambandha. We need to make a relationship with the Lord. So that is the 10.8, where he says, Aham Sarvasvabhavo, who he is, source of material and spiritual. Second stage is where we make an effort to put into practice devotion, apply the knowledge that we've got by actually serving Him. That's abhidheya. And then finally, the third stage is the mature fruit of our practice, prayojana, where we become fully spiritually aware of the Supreme Lord and fall in love, attain that love for the Lord. So the Bhagavad Gita is actually spiritual science. Here we see three aspects of what scientists do all the time. Hypothesis, which is sambandha, understanding who we are, our relationship. Experiment, i.e. putting into practice what we've understood, abhidheya. And then observation, the conclusion, prayojana, what is the result. It's what the scientists do, and spiritual science is no different. So these four verses give us a roadmap of spirituality from beginning to the end. Very, very crucial verses. The one I wanted to focus on in the lesson, which is, this is one of my favorite verses. Tesam sadatam yuktanam bhajatam prithvi purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam priyanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to me, to serving Krishna with love, he gives them the understanding by which they can come to him. So we may not be so intelligent. In Kali Yuga, we don't really have that much capacity of understanding. But if we constantly try to serve the Lord, that will melt his heart. Because we, even with all of our weaknesses and our disabilities, we still continue to try to serve him. He becomes overwhelmed and he will reveal himself within our heart. There's no extra endeavor to really pursue. This verse is such a powerful verse. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding. I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. So we just keep trying. We'll fall again and again and again. We will fail many, many times, but we pick ourselves up, dust our clothes from all the dirt. We carry on. We carry on trying to understand the Supreme Lord, serve him, and he will automatically reveal himself to us. There's no extra endeavor needed. So this was what I wanted to share. And
yeah, this particular verse where Krishna says, Tesam satatam yuktamam, to those who constantly devoted to serving me, I give them the understanding by which they come to me. So there's the word buddhi yogam. Either we are, we may like to do Krishna consciousness, but we still, addicted to fruity results and all that. Then we are in karma yoga. Then obviously understanding, and we start to mentally speculate and all that. Then it's jnana yoga. But in the purport, this is what exactly Prabhupada is explaining, that one who knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, which is the complete yoga. But I like this part where Prabhupada says in the purport that a person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization. But if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that the person always engages himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. So there, the Prabhupada, says that in this purport that sometimes we are, like we may be, attached to ISKCON or some other organization, and then still have a spiritual master, but still we're not understanding and making progress. But somehow Krishna will give the intelligence in time. Just give it time to mature, and Krishna will be guiding from within. And that's so reassuring. And Prabhupada's clear message here is that we got to keep endeavoring. Okay, yeah.
It's very good. There was that Brahmin in South India at the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who was illiterate.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And he used to sit with the other Brahmins. The other Brahmins were very scholarly. They used to read the Bhagavad Gita. And this Brahmin who couldn't read, he used to just have tears in his eyes. And they all used to laugh at him. What was he crying about? He doesn't even understand anything. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the south of Bharat. He met this Brahmin and he asked him, "Why are you crying?" And he said, "Isn't it amazing how Krishna has become the chariot driver, the servant of his pure devotee, Arjuna?" And he just kept crying. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to him, "Actually, these other Brahmins have not understood Bhagavad Gita, but you have." So he was very pleased with that Brahmin. I was just looking at the picture and he was completely convinced. So intelligence doesn't necessarily equate to having spiritual knowledge. So we know a lot of very intelligent people who've got no regard for spirituality. And we know some not so intelligent, including us, who try to become God conscious. Yes, Priti.
Yeah, there was a point you said something about, you keep trying. It reminded me like the guy who invented the light bulb, that he tried thousands of times. He really believed in it. That's why he didn't give up on it. And it's like, I was just thinking, this is one area which I have faith in. So it's like, just generally something that you have faith in, like don't give up on it, really. And this goes with this 10-10 Bhagavad Gita, where it's like, just keep trying and I'll give you what you lack.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, the tendency for us in Kali Yuga, with our, our weakness of heart, really, is we give in to sense enjoyment, and often we think, "Oh, what have I done?" And the thing is never to give up, because unfortunately we are by nature very weak, and we need to recognize that. But our strength is our weakness, because we can really earnestly pray to the Lord. "I am so weak, please help me." That can come from the heart, and the Lord likes that. When it comes from the heart, the Lord takes note. Any Nani Ben?
Yes, Prabhuji, this was lesson 41, that those who are constantly devoted to serving Krishna. Is this constantly means because we live in this when we got other duties we are not 100% into Krishna consciousness, not 100% 24 hours chanting Krishna. So, but we try to do our best, whatever we can.
Yes.
Is it equate to what you are trying to say here?
Yes, absolutely. There was Narad Muni became very proud at one point that "I am your best devotee," and Vishnu said to him, "Okay, we'll see about that." So he gave him, and Vishnu said, "Actually, the best devotee is this fellow down there on earth, who's got 5 kids and so many other duties." And Narad Muni said, "How that possible?" So Vishnu said to him, "Okay, here, have this jug of water. Just go around the universe and come back with it full of water." So Narad Muni went around the universe, came back to Vishnu. He was very proud. "Look, I brought your jug back." full of water. And Vishnu said to him, yes, you've done very well. But did you think of me while you were going around the world with this jug full of water? And Narada Muni said, no, how can I? I was busy looking after this jug of water. So then Vishnu explained to him, exactly. That's why that person who's got so many commitments, even he's got so many commitments, he's thinking of me as often as he can.
Mm.
And so he is higher level of devotee than you are. That was just a little example that Narada Muni had from Lord Vishnu at one point. So yes, absolutely, we have duties, and yeah, and that's right, because Krishna was saying to Arjun that do your fighting and remember me at the same time. So we try. Hence why, like Jayanti was saying the other day, every 15 minutes, we just say Krishna. Just try to remind us, put an alarm on every 15 minutes, Krishna, Krishna. In that way, slowly, 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 even while you're doing your duty, you're still remembering him, still continuously remembering him. We try to do as many ways as we can to remember the Lord. That will just purify our existence, make us closer to him.
Yes, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and he becomes pleased when he sees we are struggling like anything, yet we're still remembering him. The Lord, he'll give his heart to us.
I also have one. It's not question. It's like I don't know what is, because this Bhagavad Gita is actually spiritual science, but he touching mental materialistic world.
Yes.
It means he lives in material world also.
Yes.
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 But it's very sad what so many people doesn't want to listen that.
Yes. Main thing
We are so blind. What I'm always thinking how we can help for these people. For example, for my relatives, it's very hard to explain. They doesn't want to listen.
That's true, Roma. But the only way to deal with that is, yeah, Prashad, but if we ourselves become more and more Krishna conscious.
I'm praying for example, for my brother who doesn't want to listen nothing. I have been 2 weeks and he's very depressed. And I'm trying. I'm just praying for him. That's it.
That's good. Because your prayers, as you become more and more God conscious, your prayers, Krishna listens to them. Yeah, Krishna listens to them even more carefully.
I'm asking, please, Narasimha, come to my brother heart. I'm always asking.
Yeah. And as Jayanti just said also, you said?
Prashad is the also key thing.
Yeah, I was cooking and I was praying, but he doesn't know that.
No, that's good, but because slowly, transformation will take from inside.
But does that mean what he's eating meat, fish, and eggs? That's why it's too hard for me.
I know that. Yeah, it's a slow process, but that's all we can do at the moment. Is pray for them, give them prasad, and also by him seeing what you are doing, that will have an effect as well. So. You were there 2 weeks, so he saw how you were conducting yourself. So maybe along the line,
he'll
that
realize.
Now.
Yeah, and after my mother passed away, he cannot to sleep. When he was out, I was going around house and was with candle, with light, and was always praying. And after he was sleeping better.
Yes. Well, you are powerful. We've been to the place.
I just was asking yours what I can help more.
Yeah, no, what you're doing is good. The prayers. And of course, it's very heartbreaking when you love somebody and you know they're going to hell by their practice. Your prayers will be what will really help him.
He always telling, I'm not in this world. I live in cosmos, but not in earth. He always telling me.
Yeah. We talked about that sort of person yesterday who believes in the cosmos but doesn't have any faith in anything else.
Yeah. I mean, there's several examples of devotees whose parents are also like that, but because they're devotees and that will have an effect on their parents. karma as well. Sometimes, at the end, when the death, the parents suddenly say Krishna. They never ever said Krishna at all. It's because of the children's devotion had an effect as well. So I think your devotion also might help your brother along the line.
And also one question, can I ask one a little bit more extra? Because he lives far away from me, over 100 miles. But when I was before back from temple, I brought some prasad, but I give him for picture. It's okay or not?
Yeah, offering to picture is okay.
Oh yeah, of course.
And also when it was...
no different. No, picture is no different from the deity.
Yeah, I'm offering to picture him, prasad.
Yes, yes, absolutely fine. Absolutely.
It's helpful. Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Rama. Hare Krishna.
Haribo?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that if the person is not ready, no matter how hard you try, so I think it's a desire. It's like taking a horse to the pond.
Yeah.
If he's not going to drink, he's not going to drink. So at the end, if he's thirsty, he'll drink it. So we have to have patience.
Patience.
Haribo.
Yeah, yeah. And it might even put them off if you push them too far.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And,
happened.
and Nabi, and another thing with family members and all that, it's always very hard to preach to your own family members rather than shove this philosophy down their throat. And you don't force them. Just set an example,
Yeah.
You do whatever needs to be done, and they observe you, and you're as we as our Krishna consciousness grows and all that, our energy will affect them, and slowly they will start to see. So setting an example is very good. And as far as offering and anything, you offer it in your heart, becomes a prasad. So it doesn't have to be prasad from the temple or anything like that. Just at home, have a picture or just nothing, just before, after cooking and all that, and just have a plate ready and just say a few times mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra. And that also sanctifies the food, doesn't it?
That's right.
And also I was brought from temple oil, special oil.
Yes, yes.
I'm always put on the picture also.
Nice.
That's why in the temple asking, could you give me please? Could you give me? Because I want it for brother.
Tomorrow, bring some popcorn with you because we're going to have a
slideshow.
Sorry, say again?
Tomorrow we're going to look at all the different opulences of Krishna, and it's very, very interesting. We've got a nice slideshow. So make some popcorn. Of course, you can't bring it to us, but have it at home. So unless there's any questions or any comments, we can...
Thank you very much. It's
no,
very,
thank you, Rama.
helpful.
Thank you, Rama.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I just want to add something for Roma Mataji.
Yes, please.
My mother, when she became vegetarian, we were not, and she prayed a lot for us, and slowly we all became vegetarian.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
And I've seen witnessed many families in Mauritius having undergone the same process in their house also. So slowly, one of the devotee in the house, they prayed for the others, and they all became devotee at the end.
Very nice.
Yeah, I hope one time we will
Continue
be.
praying.
Keep praying.
Thank you very much. I will do.
Thank you.
And I'm doing also.
Thank you for sharing that, Karuna. It's very nice. And was your mother from life vegetarian?
No.
Okay.
No, it's after we came in, we met the devotees and started going to ISKCON temple.
Right.
So afterwards that we became vegetarian.
Yes.
But my mother became vegetarian first.
Very nice. Very wise lady.
Oh yeah.
The ladies always show the way, actually. Yeah, it's quite amazing. Yeah, quite amazing. Okay, thank you very much, dear devotees. Unless there's anything else, we can do the initial account.
Prabhu,
Yes,
Haribol.
Maitreya, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there a proper way how to pray?
Definitely, with the heart. If it comes from the heart, the Lord will listen. If it's not genuine, the Lord won't care. It's just lip service. But if we pray from the bottom of our heart, then that prayer will always be heard. Have you got a suggestion?
Yes.
Yes, go on, go on.
Just a question.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I think
So with sincerity, you know, yeah.
that's it. The best prayer is the one that comes from
Lord.
within, yeah, the heart. That's the best prayer. Because that you mean it. And the Lord, because He's in our heart, He knows you mean it. And He fulfills desires. It may not be as fast as we want it, but He fulfills desires.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Maitri Prabhu. You
The
know,
Lord manifests himself. Yeah.
you know the answer already. You're just testing us.
Oh no.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Oh, 1 second. Thank you. Okay, Karuna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Dev ki jai.